Welcome, low ego action heroes and weed whackers everywhere. This is Office Hours on May 17, 2022, and I'm Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX consultancy. We do projects, training, and consulting. Ask me a question if you want to know more. So here we take questions every week around this time. It's 6:30 p.m. Italy time, and it's spring, so you hear all the glorious weed whacking happening outside in my neighborhood. So I apologize for that, but hey, that's life. So we do have a bunch of questions that were asked ahead of time, so I'm going to jump in with those. But first, let's thank the low ego action heroes who donate to the channel financially through a YouTube membership, which is totally optional, but always appreciated. Hi, Udipta. Good evening. Thanks to everybody who's donating at the junior, mid-level, and senior levels. Very appreciated. And again, you are always welcome to donate to the channel with super thanks, super stickers, and super chat and stuff like that. But again, totally optional. Hi, Manuel. Seeing you twice in one day. Fancy seeing you here. So since I got a bunch of questions ahead of time, I'm going to jump right in on them. But if you have a question, you can ask it at, hey, Janice, how are you feeling? At deltacx.link/ask. I think that's right. And that will come in through our anonymous system. If you have any questions about the stream, those questions are usually answered here at deltacx.com/links, like how to send in questions, how to join our free Slack workspace, etc. So let me, and we've got to end on time today, so I cannot go long today. So the questions we have are the questions we have. So first, let's start with a question that came in just as we were finishing last week's show, and I didn't have time to answer it. So I think it was Shrivas, and I'm sorry about that. Feeling better. Okay, good. And the question was, what makes an insight an insight? I see this term being thrown around. I'm getting confused. So here's the way that I explain it, though again, other people might have other definitions or approaches. So, you know, Google at your own risk. The way that I see it is when we're dealing with research results and reporting and presenting, a finding is kind of, I learned a thing. We learned that most people do this. We heard that many people saw room for improvement here. These are things you found. But to me, you turn them into insights by bringing something to them that goes beyond just the reporting of the fact. So the reporting of the fact is most of the people we met hated your checkout for these reasons. But then what's the insight around that? And to me, that's where the researcher can bring in their inner strategist. You don't have to be a designer. I'm not asking you to redesign the checkout, but bring in your inner strategist and turn that into an insight and tell somebody what do they need to focus on? What could they do? And again, it shouldn't be an exact description of a concept or idea. It should, sorry, Janice, I didn't know if that was a secret. Now everyone's worried about you. Sorry. I never know what people are talking about and what they're not. So to me, making something an insight will mean, at least to me, that there's something that we've discovered. Maybe it was a surprise or fresh to us, and it's on a little bit of a higher level than, hey, we saw a thing. And perhaps you have a little bit of advice around it. Sometimes that advice is a little bit plain, fix the checkout, but sometimes the advice has something a little bit more specific to it. This checkout didn't seem modern to people. This checkout wasn't easy to use for the following reasons, so here's some suggestions. So to me, I think we can transcend from findings, which is here's what we found, to insights by bringing to it the things that people may not have noticed or may not have thought or didn't hypothesize, and bringing our own strategic perspective to it. So to me, it's taking the information we found during research and adding a bit of a layer of recommendation or suggestion or conclusions. Oh, poor Janice. I hope that helps. So I'm going to jump into the next question, and that was from last week. Now we're catching up to this week's questions. Hi, Daniel. I asked a question last week. This is it. Thank you, Daniel. I saved it from last week, so here we go. This was Daniel's question from last week that we didn't get to in time. Thank you for remembering to give it to me, but I had saved it. So here we go. What do you think about using incentives to motivate users into sticking to your product? I think that that is a little bit desperate, because if you have to give people an incentive, whether it's a virtual one like, ooh, you get a star and a crown, or it's actually financial, you're going to get this many naira or pounds or dollars or whatever for doing a thing, that sounds desperate. It sounds like people aren't naturally staying in the product because there is a good, say it with me, product market fit. So if there isn't a good product market fit, we can throw some money or some incentives at people and say, won't you please stay? We'll pay you to use this thing. But that seems desperate. And I think it could also be potentially unethical, because some startups have to show investors that they have a certain number of customers or that they are attracting and retaining users. And if people aren't staying because the product isn't that good, let's just say less ethical startup might say, hey, let's pay people to stick around, and then maybe we can show this investor where we've got customers and get that money. What happens if the investor finds out that people stayed because you paid them to or incentivized them, whatever incentivized means, that you're rewarding them in some way? So I would say this could cross the line of ethics. And I would say that this definitely crosses the line of desperation. If we are not able to attract or retain our customers, we need to look more closely at that product market fit. So what's the market need? What did we learn from research that is a real problem or unmet need? And then what are we going to make to meet or exceed that? And if we're not doing that, you shouldn't have to pay people to stay. They're supposed to be paying you. Boing. They're supposed to be paying you for whatever this is. Not you pay them. So, yikes. So, Daniel, let me know if you have a follow-up question to that. But I'm just going to say, yikes. I don't think that's the right way to go. People should be paying you, not you paying them. All right. Here's our next question. What makes a good UX manager? How can UX folks improve their leadership skills? Okay, so there's a lot of answers here, because there could be what makes a good manager in general, and then there could be what makes a good UX manager. So I would say that a good manager in general is someone who understands what you do and respects it, knows the importance of it, and supports you, especially when you have conflicts or concerns or questions, or you see something going wrong. They will fight for you and go to other teammates or departments when things are going wrong with people outside of UX. Like, hey, product managers are telling us what to do. They're not giving us room to be problem solvers. Hey, I'm your manager. I'm going to go handle that. Oh, I think I see an anonymous question coming in. Let me find that. I'll put it on the bottom of the list. We've got a list today, so we'll do our best to get to all of them. And let me just check the anonymous question. Apprenticeship. Okay, got it. We'll add that to the bottom of the list. Thank you for the question. So back to this other question. I think that good qualities in a manager are someone who you really trust, because they're going to support you and be there for you and fight for you and give you what you need. As for a good UX manager, to me, they're all the same things, except they have a work history as a UX specialist. So if they're the research manager, they've done a zillion years of research. If they're the design manager, they've done a zillion years of design. So I would say that that's a main thing that I expect from a UX manager that I don't expect from other managers. I expect a product manager to have worked many years in product management and understand that. I expect a great UX manager to have worked many years in some aspect of UX, not just visual design, not just creative direction or logos and branding. I expect them to have worked somewhere in the UX and user-centered design world for many years, so that they really understand the work I'm doing and can fight for it. That also means that I expect a UX manager to fight for UX being done well. I think when UX managers just say yes to everything, hoping that it evangelizes UX or hoping that it, say it with me, creates empathy, I think we're going in the wrong direction. So I think that managers have to stand up to anything that they see that could be hurting respect for UX or understanding of UX. And I find that UX managers don't always do that. They try to think instead like, what will make us popular? What will make people include us? And usually that's going to end up being workshops and fake UX. So I want to see UX managers standing up for good UX being done well. Hi, Melanie. I hope that answer helps. Let me know if you have a follow-up question. Okay, so now we've got a longer question coming in. So you know a good story is coming. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Super sweet. Thanks to everybody who subscribes for subscribing. Always appreciated. And yeah, please subscribe and tell at least 3 friends about the Delta CX channel, because we are here streaming live 2 to 4 times a week to help you with whatever point you're at in your career, from newbie to leader and C-level executive. All right, so this question, oh, thank you, Daniel. Let me know if you have a follow-up question to that. So this question, oh, I see another anonymous question coming in. We'll get to that in a moment. My company just promoted a project manager to the head of product. I am both confused and depressed by this turn of events. This person is 1, an IDEO workshop grad, and 2, shrinks UX participation on every project. They think we mostly draw pretty pictures. I know it's probably time to look for a new job, but is there any way to manage this situation in the near term? Additional background, I was also considered for this role, but I don't serve the design thinking tea. This has put me somewhat on the outs with our executives. Well, look, you know what I always say. Oh, hi, Angus. Hey, Angus is joining us from South Africa, which means load shedding is not happening right now. Very good. So you know what I'm going to say. You know I'm going to say you're looking for a new job, because there's a lot of hints here that tell us what's going on and what's coming. When someone promotes a project manager to the head of product, then I would say that mostly what they care about is speed, timing. Can the project manager keep work moving efficiently? Well, then great. They get to head up all of product and make all of the decisions for product and UX, or be at the top of that chain. And so I think that's going to be about speed over everything else. When you're passed over for a promotion because you won't say design thinking or wave the fake design thinking flag, then where is this going? I don't think you're going to be happy there. So I always tell people, try to make change before you give up. And if you can't make change, don't let it affect your mental health. Just start applying. Just start applying. So I think that if the head of product thinks that UX is here to draw pretty pictures, the executives think that design thinking is the way to go. And remember, design thinking is really speed over quality. So basically the question here is, our company is doing speed over quality 47 different ways. What can I do? And my answer is, I don't think you can do anything. Again, you could try to make a change here, but when you're telling me that there's people at all different levels that like it the way it is and don't understand UX and don't want it to get better, I don't think this is going to get better. So I would certainly respect and appreciate you trying, but I would also have to admit, I don't know. That's an ugly one. So yeah, thanks for that question. I'm going to throw in the question that just came in privately a little bit early and out of order. I hope people won't mind that, just because I have a terrible answer, so I want to get it out of the way. And the question is, oh, I'm having some trouble with my overlay. I have messed this up. Well, anyway, the question had to do with, what do I think of the book About Face? I've seen it being recommended multiple times. Do you think it makes sense to read such a book or similar, like Information Architecture for the Web and Beyond, while looking for your first job? I haven't read About Face, That's why this is a terrible answer to your question. I do think information architecture for the web and beyond is worth it, but I haven't read about FACE. I've heard good things about it. So chances are these books are worth reading, and I didn't want this poor person to wait 20 minutes for me to tell them that, because that was a bad answer. I didn't want them to wait 20 minutes for me to say, I haven't read the book. So thank you for that question, and yes to books. You can also Google Darren Hood's Medium book recommendations or something like that. He's written a bunch of stuff on Medium where he has lists of books that he recommends and information, so you can also check that out. Okay, let's take a look at our next question. And this came in after this morning's office hours. Today was the day of the month where I do 2 office hours. So this was somebody actually following up on their question from this morning. Let's see if I can put this up. Hey, Debbie, me again. Thanks for the answers. Yeah, it's my first job, and you're right. I'm not happy at my job. I feel like an order taker. Just design this and that. You mentioned looking elsewhere for jobs, but I have no current portfolio with UX work. Should applying for intern jobs be best for me, or should I work on fake projects to make up my portfolio? So I think we get this question pretty much every week. So again, if you're watching here, you've heard this one before, but basically, the problem with fake projects is that, number one, they're not real work. So any job that is looking for X years of real work experience won't count a fake project. And number two, you're probably guessing at the UX work because you don't have any senior, lead, manager, mentor, or coach looking at your work. So while fake projects sound like a good way to practice or build up a portfolio, they might not help you if someone is not looking at your work and saying, hey, here's something you need to improve. Here's something that you're getting wrong. So I would probably apply for all the apprenticeships that you can find. You can try for internships, but very often internships are looking for university degrees and, bizarrely, work experience. So just be careful there. Those might not be the way to go. I don't have a lot of good answers on this one, everybody. There isn't a great way to get your first UX job. It's a mess. And I don't know what to tell you. We need more apprenticeships. All right, let me find the next question and paste that in. All right. There we go. Okay, so this is a double question, but we'll answer both because we like people. And let's see, can I put this up and put this up? Why is this one not working? I'm having a weird moment here. Why is this orange? What does that even mean? Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm having a little streaming software problem with getting the questions up, so let's put it up anyway. What is a good method for gauging user interest in one feature or another, and what role does research play in feature prioritization? Okay, so these are 2 questions with some long answers, but I'll try to give you the shorter versions. Janice, Janice says your hair looks especially pretty today, Debbie. Thank you. Thank you. I just sprayed some, not sponsored, hold on. I just sprayed some stuff from Lush on it because right after this I'm speaking at an event. So I was like, oh, I should try to tame my crazy hair a little bit, and I sprayed some stuff from Lush on it, and I think that tamed it a little bit. And the funny thing is I sprayed it into my eye, and I thought, you know, that's the funny thing about Lush is, like, if you spray it in your eye, then your eye is just moisturized and floral, like it didn't burn. So, but don't spray it in your eye. Or as one of my favorite comedy shows says, never put salt in your eye. Okay, so let's answer this one backwards. What role does user research play in feature prioritization? Is that in episode 116? I'm not sure. It's certainly in my new stuff. Ray says, I love Lush. Yeah, Ralitza got me into it. User research should play a role in feature prioritization, but really, if you're thinking in features, you're already kind of doing it wrong, because we don't want to be a feature factory. We want research to tell us, thanks, Denise. We want research to tell us what we should be working on. So research will give us pain points, insights, opportunities. That's what we prioritize. If you're prioritizing features, then you're a feature factory and the research may or may not be used correctly. If you really want to get this right, then you have to get away from being a feature factory and look at task-oriented design and make sure that your research is feeding strategy. Research is feeding priorities. Research, you're not just going from research to features, or you're not starting with features and then saying research around that, because now you've been put in a box. So to me, user research is all about prioritizing pain points, needs, and opportunities. Then we decide what we're working on. Then UX can come up with solutions. The solutions tell us what the features are. If we learn that people need a better way to pay our bill, we don't know the solution, but we do know the pain point. We do know the opportunity. We can prioritize that. Oh my gosh, we really need to fix people paying their bill first, but we don't know the solution or the feature. Yeah, Larry says tasks, not features. He's up over here. So I can't get these up at the same time. I'm sorry, everybody. Ooh, it's working now. What? Okay, so now let's talk about the other question. What's a good method for gauging interest in one feature or another? Once you're talking about gauging interest in a feature, you are feature oriented. You're a feature factory. I hope you're enjoying the weed whacker, everybody. Yes, weed whacker. I think that's my boyfriend out there, so thanks to him, because it's not me. So remember, that's not a great way to design. It's not a great way to design to say, well, we think we want everyone to have giant amber cups. Now let's go run a survey and see if people like giant amber cups. Chances are that's going to be flawed. And marketing does a lot of this, which is why marketing and UX are sometimes fighting. Marketing goes, oh yeah, people want this and they're going to pay for it. And UX says, what? We did research. Nobody wants this. They're not going to pay for it. Well, only one of these can be true, and someone's going to look weird at the end. So be careful about gauging interest in a feature, because that means we've already decided what we're going to build, and we're just hoping people like this thing, or we're hoping we can prove that they like it, and that will probably, not always, but probably lead to some flawed research. I always say, if you want to validate something, you'll validate it. Angus says, sounds like they may be shipping the org chart, too many execs pushing features. That can also happen as well, for sure. So to me, again, my answer to the previous question answers this question as well. If you were doing good generative user research that's giving us all of the insights that tell us the pain points, the unmet needs, and the opportunities, now we don't have to go gauge people's interest in thing one or thing two. We've learned what they need. We've learned what can improve their lives, their work, their task. Now we don't have to wonder, do they need a thing like this? We just ran the research that says, I think they need a thing like this. Now we can start designing that and usability testing it to make sure that concept and its execution are going in the right way. I recently wrote an article about this on Medium. That might help. We're going to do it live on the show, but not for a few weeks because my vacation is coming up. Am I doing it tomorrow, or am I doing it after? Let's see. Nope, I'm doing it in June. So if you just go to r4d.com. That's our Medium channel. You can follow r4d. You can follow me on Medium. I write a few articles a month, and that one was called, I think it was something like UX research without a hypothesis or without a concept you've built, or something like that. It'll say something like that. You'll find it, and yeah. And so check that out. That might give you some ideas. I hope that helps. We're almost half done here today, and I'm on the last question. So I think we can take a few more questions today. Let me check if any of them came through the anonymous method. I don't want to miss those. Everybody knows I missed those. I missed one this morning, and we had a sad low ego action hero, which I do not want. So let's make sure. Yes, this was the one about the books. Okay. And okay, we got that one. So yeah, I've got room for a few more questions, but let's put up this next question and we can all answer it together. When will the next apprenticeship at Delta CX open, and how do you select someone for it? Okay, so I get asked this also pretty much weekly. So basically, when I have a Delta CX apprenticeship, it usually comes out of a need that I have for my own company. That means the money comes out of my pocket, which means the project is usually a little bit loosey-goosey because it doesn't have hard deadlines because it's not for a real paying client. I'm the paying client. So that means an apprenticeship project exists when I dream one up. So far, that's been one a year. We did one last year. We did one the year before. That was the first year. So this year is year 3. We do have an apprenticeship team working on the project now. Again, it's going much slower than I expected, but that is completely my fault because I thought I had more time available to coach people and move the project along than I did. But with my job ending in about 6 weeks, hopefully I will get back on track with everybody and reprioritize it. There is no application process for it. Typically what I do is I go into the Slack workspace, and again, you can join our Slack workspace for free. I do not do the walled garden thing. You can find all of the links that I always talk about at deltacx.com/links. Slack workspace is there. When I have an apprenticeship project, I usually post it in the jobs channel. Sometimes I have false alarms. A few months ago, I thought I had an apprenticeship project and people said, yeah, I'm interested, and then it fell apart. That one wasn't for me, that was for somebody else. So sometimes they are unfortunately false alarms, and sometimes they are for me, which means money out of my pocket. So there is no application process. Usually I post it to the Slack community, and then I individually speak to people or interview them because some people get selected and some people don't get selected. I select people mostly by where they are in their UX process. So for example, I want them to have learned some stuff about UX. So that means uni degree, boot camp, self-study, doesn't matter what it is. I don't need you to have a certificate, but I need you to know some stuff. I can't have you knowing nothing because I don't have time to teach you UX from nothing. So I need you to have some good foundational knowledge, which I will check for. I need you to have an awesome personality and be open to coaching and feedback, not afraid to be wrong, not afraid to try something and fail. And be a low ego action hero. I need you to have time for this. I need you to understand that I pay, but not very well, and much later in the project. And I needed to be somebody who's never had an internship or apprenticeship or job yet. So some people who've already had their first internship want to join my apprenticeship. This is real, but once you've had your first internship or apprenticeship, it's easier to find your next one. I'm trying to help the people who are really stuck and can't even get someone to give them that first chance. And I'm hoping that this being real work that they can put in their portfolio will give them their first chance. Also, my apprenticeship cohorts are tiny. The first one had 8 people, the second one had 2 people, and this one has 3. So it's not like I have this program where I can accept 30 people and you're all going to get a stack of money and whatever. So yes, right now it is pretty limited, and I'm trying to make sure that it's always a nice, diverse group of people, and that I'm making sure that I'm supporting people from various countries, people from various backgrounds, people of various genders, ethnicities, all of those things. LGBTQIA+, everybody knows I'm a big fan of that community and always hope to be called an ally. Also a supporter of Black, POC, Indigenous cultures and communities. So just doing what I can to keep mixing it up. So yeah, I am hoping later this year that we'll cook something up for some of our Nigerians. I've noticed we have an increasing fan base in Nigeria, and not to stereotype, but so far Nigerians have been nothing but absolutely lovely, wonderful people who warm my heart and make me a little bit teary, and I feel like I want to do more for them. So hopefully cooking up something for Nigerians later in the year. No offense to everyone who's not Nigerian, but I'm doing everything I can to help little pockets of people as I go. That is a very long answer to a very short question, but I hope it helps. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? Questions, comments, complaints, concerns? Because I'm caught up on questions right now. So let's see. I think I got that one. And that one. Yeah. So what else is on everybody's mind? Oh, Daniel, I was thinking of incentivizing patients for scheduling appointments and showing up for it. My idea was to give discounts on price after reaching a benchmark. Well, now this gets a little bit funky because once you say patients, I assume this is medical. Why aren't patients showing up to their appointments? And why is it your job to pay them? Shouldn't this be coming from government or ministry or the doctors or something? Daniel says, yay, go Nigeria. Yeah, I mean, we've got so many lovely people from Nigeria who've been joining the Low Ego Action Heroes, and I want to see what I can spin up for them. If possible, nothing promised. Don't get mad at me later. But then again, the Nigerians are so nice. They won't be mad at me later. But just know that I'm trying. Okay, let's talk. Let's see. We've got a question coming in from LinkedIn, which is up on the screen now. And but in general, Daniel, I'm not too sure why you're paying people to schedule appointments and show up for them. Could that make people dishonest? Could that make people who don't need appointments schedule them and show up for them? So that gets weird. Yeah, Ray says if you incentivize them, you're missing the pain points about why they're not doing it to begin with. Exactly. We want to find out what is going on here, and that's where we need to study human behavior. Let's put up that question from LinkedIn. It didn't show me the person's name. You probably saw on the screen it said LinkedIn user, so I didn't see who it is. Hi, Debbie. I struggle with being extremely patient and the more aggressive ways that Dr. Nick Fine preaches when it comes to UX maturity. Could you talk a bit about balancing that in a work environment? Sure. So first of all, let's talk openly about the fact that personalities are different. Cultures are different. I think Dr. Nick and I and Darren to some extent have personalities and come from cultures that are not afraid for people to be bold, for people to be outspoken. Now, I'm just, call it lucky or call it not lucky, that I was born into that sort of environment where it was okay to be a girl in tech, or it was okay to have a bold opinion. And so that was encouraged in me as I grew up, rather than being told, shut up, you're just a girl, or girls don't do that. I luckily never heard that. Hashtag privilege. I got very lucky in that sense. Welcome to the club. So I think that it's a personality thing. And first of all, nobody should feel like they have to emulate me or Darren or Nick, because sometimes, bursting through the door and announcing how we're going to do things doesn't fly. And honestly, I don't always do that either. There are a lot of times where I have to read the room and play the situation and hold my tongue and find the sweeter way to say it. And I know people don't usually see that version of me here because this is my show and I get to say whatever I want. But in a work environment, I do have to be a little bit more measured at times, but there are definitely times where I've gone in with the blazing fireworks, and sometimes people are like, yeah, we needed to hear that, and sometimes people are like, oh my God, you're too much, you're bad. And I don't always know which one I'm going to get. And sometimes I get both at the same time from different people in the same room. So, number one, you don't have to be like us. However, I do think that to work in UX, and maybe Ray wants to talk about this, I do think that to work in UX, you have to be a little bit bold, a little bit outspoken. We're supposed to be advocates for the user and for the customer. Now, that doesn't mean we have to walk up to someone and go, your idea's shit. I'm not doing that. I say that on the show, but I'm not doing that at jobs. I have to find a softer way to say that and say, hey, that may or may not be the right idea for us to pursue right now. How can we spin up some research or testing to know? So there's a very big difference between your idea sucks or you're a jerk and how can we know this for sure? And that takes it away from what I think and what the other person thinks. So you have to really kind of play these situations a certain way so that they don't accidentally or on purpose become adversarial or person versus person, because I don't want them to be person versus person. I want them to stick to the situation. Ray says you learn how to be bold in your own way as you go. Yeah, and it's a process. Now, I was born this way, so, you know, some people think it's a bad quality that I have. I'm no longer friends with them, and some people think it's a good quality that I have. I like it about myself. Has it gotten me into trouble? Sure. Will it get me into trouble again? Probably. But I think people prefer the honesty. I think people trust me more quickly because they know that even if I find a gentle, soft, cotton ball way to say things, I will be honest with them. Okay, Janice has the next question. We'll put that up next. LinkedIn user says, thanks, Debbie. So yeah, I hope that helps. And remember, the balance is really, to me, it's about delivery. It's about how you say these things, because there's many different ways to say a thing, and you have to, this is where, you know, people talk about empathy and all that stuff, and I say, look, use your empathy to read other people, to learn about how they prefer to work, to learn how they tend to take information well or take information badly. Use your empathy or your sympathy or your whatever, your UX powers, to read other people. And that's sometimes hard. Not everybody's good at that, but it's a skill to develop. And read when people are uncomfortable. Read when it's not the right time to say that thing. Read when it's better to talk to them privately afterwards. Because I had somebody say to me, I won't say who, someone said to me in a private message recently, I'm not going to shoot down someone's idea in a meeting when other people are there. And I said, I might, but I would have to word it very carefully. You know, I would have to say, we might not want to do that. We might need to look at what risk that could cause. Now, notice I'm saying we. That's different than you. Notice I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying we should take another look at this. What if this idea isn't the best one? What if it doesn't connect as well with users as we hope? That could mean risk and waste for our company. How can we use research and testing to know ahead of it? You just heard me say that. So these are some of the directions that I go in if I'm feeling bold. And there are definitely times where I've sat there and said nothing and listened to people say absolutely banana pants wacky stuff to or at me, and I've just been like, so again, it's always a battle to try to pick your battles, and it just comes with time. But it's hard for people who have certain personalities or come from certain cultures where they're told women don't do that, or don't talk to people like that, or that's your boss, you can't tell them they're wrong. I'm not afraid to tell my boss they're wrong, but I have to find a gentle way to say that, because no one wants to hear they're wrong. We have to say, what if there's another way to do this? So think about things like that. Thank you for these questions. These are great. Janice asks, can you talk about Agile and the parts of it that are helpful for UX? The speed of sprints seem to work against UX. They absolutely do. And I meant to make a tritrack Agile graphic, and I didn't do it yet, so I don't have a tritrack Agile graphic to now put up for you, but Google tritrack Agile. So the problem with Agile is that Agile was created as a way for engineering to work. Your developers and programmers, your database people, your QA testers, your DevOps people. It was not really meant for any other person's style. It was not meant, Agile wasn't meant for how marketing should work. Agile wasn't meant for how product managers work. Agile wasn't meant for how business strategists work. Agile wasn't meant for basically anybody but engineering. Oh, Larry Marine says, yes, depersonalize the feedback, avoid talking about the person, focus on the design. That allows people to listen without feeling attacked. Yes, yes, thank you, Larry. Excuse me a moment. I'm speaking at a conference right after this. I'm going to burn my voice out if I'm not careful. Please excuse me. As Ray knows, we're now switching to chloroseptic. Not sponsored. Whew. Yikes. As someone who doesn't drink alcohol, chloroseptic always feels like I shouldn't be drinking this. I know, it's got alcohol. Okay, so back to Janice's question. It's really hard to combine UX and Agile. And, oh, hi, hon, good to see you. I will put your question after this one, so please hold on. Your question will be next. Your question is very important. Please stand by. So the problem is that someone decided that it's more important that we go fast than we have quality. And Agile in theory is good, but the way that it's implemented in most companies is bad. So we've got episode 116, the famous episode 116. Everybody drink when I say episode 116. Which does talk about how UX and Agile can work better, but really it's about separating them, not siloing them. There's still a lot of collaboration we should be doing. But basically, tritrack Agile, which you can Google, imagines that there's 3 streams of work happening at the same time. The first stream of work is our UX research. So especially our generative research, so that we can generate knowledge about, everybody say it with me, people, systems, and context. And then that's going to feed into the second stream of work. And in tritrack Agile, the second stream of work is both product planning and strategy and UX design. Because as we keep talking about, as I said earlier, by the end of UX research, we should have pain points, opportunities, unmet needs prioritized. Now we know what we're going to work on and in what order. Now we can get down to planning, overarching UX strategy, product strategy, and the actual UX design, testing, and iteration. So that means research and the second stream can happen at the same time because we have different people working on them. We have specialized researchers, we have specialized designers. The third stream of work in tritrack Agile is everything engineering is doing. Everything engineering is doing. They're programming. They're organizing databases, their system architecture, their QA. They can do whatever they want, however they want. They can use Agile, they can use Scrum, they can do Kanban, they can do XP, they can do Waterfall. We're not part of that. But we all need to be planning better because we still have to organize our work so that engineering is getting stuff when they need it. They don't want to sit around and wait a month for us, but they won't be sitting around and waiting a month for UX if we do better planning up front. We've got to do planning up front where we say, aha, we're going to tackle a better checkout. Okay, we think we need 3 weeks for design and testing and some iterations, and then we can get it to the engineers. Hey, engineers, we think you're going to get something from us in 3 weeks. If they don't like that, 2 sprints. Hey, we need 2 sprints, then we'll get it to you. Great. Now everyone can plan around that. The problem is when we don't plan around that. The problem is when we only plan for engineering's time, UX gets the time that's left over. Hey, engineering wants to launch this in August. They think they need 3 months to build it and test it and merge it and everything else. Okay, UX, you get 2 weeks. Well, that doesn't work. We might need longer than that. So we have to really look at product, UX, and engineering as a triad of equal voices who are working together for prioritization and planning. That would be the way to go. But unfortunately, Agile doesn't always do that. And depending upon the flavor of Agile that it is and who the Agile coaches or Scrum Masters are, very often they think that they control UX. UX, you get 2 days to do this. UX, you get a sprint. I don't care what you needed, you get a sprint. That's not going to work. That's bad for morale. That's bad for culture. That's bad for the project. That's good for nobody. Ultimately, nobody wins other than somebody gets to say, aha, we stayed on time. You can stay on time if you ask UX up front how much time we need. We can still be on time. The problem is nobody asked us up front. They guessed, hey, give UX a week. but they need to start asking us. So the problem is we have to get ourselves outside of Agile into separate streams of work where engineering is not controlling us. Otherwise, you're just going to run into a lot of problems. So tritrack Agile. Some people do dual track Agile. Good baby step. Tritrack even better. Googleable. All right, let's ask Hung's question. Hung, my new buddy on LinkedIn. Let's take a look. Hi, Debbie. Any advice on how to build a following on LinkedIn for a mid-career UX specialist? Sure. We did an episode last year. I want to say it was like episode 72. Let me search my own channel. If I can spell, I can search my own channel. 72. Oh, I'm good at this. So you can check the YouTube channel for episode 72. And we had a LinkedIn expert talk about how to express your personal brand through LinkedIn and how to start posting and doing things so that you might develop a following. I've got a following because some people seem to like what I say. The people who don't like what I say don't follow me or block me, so there's always that. But I think you have to decide, what are you looking to say? What are you looking to talk about? What are you looking to share? Thanks for pronouncing my name correctly. This never happens on the first time, because I think I said Hung. Was that close? I'm usually terrible at this, so yay, thank you. But I'm not good with tonal languages, so I apologize. On the assumption that it's a tonal language. So basically, to me, the best way to build a following is to try to connect with people who are interesting to you. I don't accept everyone who tries to connect with me, but everyone can certainly follow me. They can certainly comment on my posts. I can interact with them, and that's building up relationships in some cases. And I think you just have to think about, what do I want to talk about? What am I going to post? And when am I going to comment? So, for example, there's lots of people posting about design thinking, and I don't comment. It's not worth the fight. I used to fight everybody who posted about design thinking, and it just made me look like I was the angry person who showed up and fought everything. That was like 2018. I don't want to be that. Larry says, and some people even copy your stuff without the benefit of giving you credit. Yeah, it's a little ugly out there. If you're really good, somebody's going to steal from you, and it could be someone we could name. Yeah, look out for that. But ultimately, you also have to ask yourself, why am I building a following on LinkedIn? What do I think that will mean? Because I've found, even though I do get some good work from LinkedIn, I also find that the LinkedIn algorithm is just an impossible bitch. Every time I have something that is really important that I hope people see and will react to, it dies in the algorithm. LinkedIn kills it. And every time I have something that I think is like a fluffy throwaway, 24,000 people see it. So I can't explain the LinkedIn algorithm anymore, and they keep changing it, and I'm tired of chasing it. So like for me, I'm just going to post the things that I care about, that I want to say, and if people see it, great, and if it dies in the algorithm, what can I say? You know, like I'm trying to tell people about my new course, and every time I post about it, LinkedIn kills it in the algorithm. Why? I don't know. Doesn't LinkedIn want me to succeed and talk about a business course I'm offering? I don't know. And that is, of course, my Transforming Toward Customer Centricity workshop. You can learn more about it at deltacx.link/TTCC-training. If you're afraid it's going to be expensive, I promise you it is not, because I have a DEI initiative to keep it cheap. Episode 72. Go look up that one in the archives. And you can also follow Andy, who was our guest on the show. He's very prolific on LinkedIn, though funny enough, most of his LinkedIn posts are about posting to LinkedIn, but he's still an interesting guy to know. Oh, hi, Olivia. Olivia the dog is here. Do you want to be on the show? No. That's a no, everybody. Okay, I've only got a few more minutes, so I'll probably wind down the show now while there aren't any questions. Let me just check that there aren't any questions, because I want to get ready for the event I'm speaking at and rest my voice a little bit. Just a reminder, I do not know if there will be office hours next week because I'll be on vacation. And I don't yet know if I'm going to have good internet. I don't yet know if it's going to make sense time-wise for the things we're doing on vacation. So just know I will try to keep the calendar updated, but it might be a last-minute decision. Yeah, it is fun. Thanks for coming by. Tell people. Come on, everybody. With YouTube shadow banning me, I need y'all to please spread the word about the channel. Have a good event. Thank you. I'm very excited about this event. Yeah, I'll just say that. So, we're just to keep everybody posted on this week. I'm going to read an article tomorrow, but it's not my article. It's somebody else's article on design thinking that's been going around LinkedIn. Thursday, I will read my article about UX professionals need UX managers, which touches on one of the questions we had earlier today. There will be no reaction stream on Friday because that's exactly when we're leaving for vacation. For those of you who would like to follow my vacation, we have an Instagram account for our travels, and it's called Hello McLouie. HELLOMCLOUIE. We'll start posting there next week as our travels unfold. But again, I do not know whether or not there will be shows for next week and the week after because it's vacation and I don't know how the Wi-Fi will be for where we're going because I've never been there. So that is that. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for this. Great questions. I hope I was able to help some people and give you some ideas and something actionable. Now I'm going to go rest my voice and get ready to do it all again. I will see you tomorrow for the show where we will read an article. Thanks. Be well. Bye. Customer centricity as business intelligence. Visit deltacx.com to learn why we are